The rain had stopped an hour ago, but the streets still shimmered with a silver glow. Neon lights from cafes and bus stops painted the wet pavement with reflections that looked almost alive. I stood there, my coat clinging to my arms, my breath clouding faintly in the cool air. I've always been the kind of woman who takes up space, not just physically, but emotionally. My presence filled a room. My laughter carried. My confidence turned heads. But tonight, something felt different. In my hand was a small glass vial, no larger than a perfume bottle, with a strange golden liquid inside. It had been given to me earlier that day by a friend from the university lab. Half a joke, alpha daddy. It reverses cellular expansion, he'd said, smiling. Think of it as the opposite of growth. I hadn't believed him, of course. But now, standing alone with the city humming around me, a strange curiosity twisted in my chest. I've always been fascinated by control, how humans fight endlessly to be bigger, to be more. Yet I also knew how heavy that weight could become. The pressure, the expectations, the way confidence sometimes hardens into armor. I turned the vial in my fingers. What if growth could be undone? Tote. Not just physical, but emotionally. What if I could peel away the layers that time and pride had built around me? Without another thought, I opened the vial and let a single drop touch my tongue. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the edges of the world began to shift. The soft hum of the streetlight deepened into a low vibration. The sound of passing cars stretched like distant thunder. I gasped and looked down. The ground seemed to rise toward me. My shoes loosened. My coat slipped from my shoulders like a curtain collapsing. The air thickened, and for a fleeting second I felt a pull deep inside me, a sensation like the universe exhaling. I was shrinking. Panic flashed across my face, but only for a heartbeat. 10 kami away. The world expanded around me, vast and beautiful in a way I had never seen before. The textures of the pavement, the mist rising from the street, even the faint scent of coffee drifting from a cafe window, everything became larger. More to the tale, it impossibly vivid. I took a shaky step forward, my heart racing. The drop had done something profound. I was now no taller than a cup on the sidewalk, but instead of fear, I felt clarity. For the first time in years, I felt small enough to see the world, not as someone dominating it, but as someone within it. The walls that usually defined my confidence, my job, my status, my beauty felt irrelevant here. What mattered was breath, sound, light. A drop of rain fell beside me, shattering like a crystal sphere. Primaire looked at it, stunned by its perfection. How many times had I ignored beauty like this? Primera? Wand-eared. How many moments had I rushed past, chasing something bigger? I wandered through street cracks like valleys, my hands brushing the edges of fallen leaves that now towered over me. Every step made me more aware of my heartbeat, my vulnerability, my wonder. As minutes passed, memories began to surface. My childhood climbing trees barefoot, feeling small but fearless. My first heartbreak when I learned how fragile people could be. My ambition when I decided that to be seen, I had to be larger than life. Now, here I was, literally the smallest I'd ever been. And yet, I had never felt more alive. Suddenly, a gust of wind pushed me backward. I stumbled, falling against a pebble that felt like a boulder. For the first time, fear returned. I realized that being small wasn't just peaceful, it was dangerous too. Every vibration from the city, every echo of a car engine, became a tremor in my bones. I pressed my hand against my chest, breathing fast. This is what it means to be powerless, I whispered. To depend on something beyond yourself. The words hit me harder than I expected. I'd spent years building walls, promising I'd never need anyone. Independence was my armor. But now, standing between grains of sand that looked like mountains, I saw how not control was what made people whole. My heart softened. As the night deepened, I sat beneath the edge of my fallen coat, watching city lights glow in the distance. Somewhere, I heard the faint sound of a train, deep metallic sigh echoing through the dark. I thought about all the times I'd run for that train, chasing dreams, deadlines, expectations, always running, always growing. Now, Sitting here, I didn't need to run. Just to wash. For the first time, I allowed myself to feel small, and in that humility, I discovered strength I never knew I had. A soft vibration rolled through the ground footsteps. A passerby. The sound was enormous, shaking the air around me. I ducked under my coat as a man's shoe stopped inches away. My pulse pounded. If he turned, if he saw me, but he didn't. He simply paused, looked at the night sky, and whispered something to himself before walking on. I exhaled slowly. That single, unnoticed moment felt profound. How many people had I ignored like that, small presences I'd passed by without seeing? Tears welled in my eyes. For the first time, I understood empathy not as a choice, but as an instinct or awareness that everyone carries their own smallness inside, even if the world can't see it. Hours passed. The night began to fade. The first light of dawn painted the city gold. I looked up. The sky was enormous, infinite. I felt a peace I couldn't describe, and then, just as quietly as it began, the transformation reversed. My fingers tingled. The ground beneath me seemed to pull away, shrinking back. The buildings descended, the air thinned, and the world returned to its usual scale. I grew slowly, gently, until I was myself again. My coat fit. My shoes tightened. The city looked ordinary once more, but I didn't. When I looked at my reflection in a puddle, I saw the same, fast yet softer. My eyes carried something new: humility, gratitude, and a quiet strength that didn't need to shout. I smiled faintly. Size does matter, I whispered, but not the way I thought. It wasn't about how much space I took up, it was about how deeply I felt it. How much of the world I let in, how much of myself I allowed to be seen fragile, human, imperfect, alive. I stood there for a while as the sun climbed higher. The city woke around me, buses rumbling, children laughing, vendors calling. Everything was normal again, but to me, it was new. Every face that passed carried a story. Every sound had weight. Every small thing mattered. And when I finally turned and began walking home, I did so slowly, not because I had to, but because I wanted to notice everything. The warmth of the sunlight, the rhythm of my steps, the quiet pulse of my own heart. I no longer wanted to be larger than life. I just wanted to be present in it. Thank you so much for joining me on this little journey. If this story resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd like this video and subscribe for more reflections. Until next time, stay present.